JackBoi101. Alright, let me... Alright, first of all, let me test it since I haven't played this in a while. Hi, what is this stream? Read the title of the stream. Alright. Yeah, I don't know how to fix that. It's kind of really weird. But, I think just for now, I'll do that since it's not working and I don't know how to fix it. Okay.
Quite a while. Is actually doing it's just.
Alright. So let's do that. Oh, hold on. Why is this? Why is there a border? What's with the border, bro? Oh no, bro. Has it? Oh, it has been only 6 days. That's weird. I swear I remember it being a bit longer. Strange. Alright, okay, so the run is still a bit broken, but that's fine. Okay, so do minus for this one, what would that do? How do I fix this? How would I fix this? Let me see if there's a tutorial.
Is actually doing, it's just
So I have to find something. Running.
Are you done with clicking away those annoying ads every time you're online? Privacy ad blocker.
What's up, cats? My name is Fisk, and today we are going to go over sprinting. Now, this was suggested to me by Blue Shoe, I think is how you pronounce that. I have 3 separate ways of sprinting. One is your normal shift sprint or key sprint. The second one is kind of like a timed.
What is Into about? It's like a game almost like Mario. is a platformer.
One, and the third one is like a double tap. Each one of these is going to be more complex than the last one. So let's start out with just the one key sprint. Starting off, we have our code from the player character with gravity. You don't have to have it, but I suggest you go back and watch my other videos on how to make a very basic platformer character. These I have talked about. They are just variables that store what key you want. I do it like this so that I don't have to type this out every single time. It also allows you to change key bindings. To start with, you're going to need to add 2 variables, and these will actually be used in all 3 different types of sprinting. They are going to be your sprint and your walk variable.
So I think I have walk and sprint speed.
In the old code that we had, we just had a static 5 for our movement speed. So I put my walk as 5 and my sprint as double that speed. So we're going to come in here to our step, and just below my movement setup, and you don't have to put it here, you can put it anywhere you like because we're just manipulating variables. I'm going to put in an if key sprint, and I've explained keys before, and in these brackets we're just going to say move if I could type speed equals sprint. Then we're going to add in an else statement and just say move speed equals walk. Now if we compile,
Alright, let's see. Oh, that just totally busted this. That made it busted. Okay.
you can see here that I've got my little cube, and as I press shift, he does change color because I set it up that way. That's just a sprite index change. And as you can see, it does in fact move faster across the screen when I hit shift. Next up, I'm going to comment all this out. And mass commenting is just slash asterisk, and then for the end of it, asterisk slash. We are going to do a timed sprint. Think Metroid. When you are sprinting, there's a certain amount of time you have to be sprinting to Shine Spark or...
Okay, I think I'm gonna add a move speed as well. Gonna add move speed equals 7.05. How was it in OBS? It's actually not that bad. I'm getting pretty used to it. Yeah. Let's see this. What's the main character's name? His name is Duke. It was recommended by my friend and it just stuck with me, so yeah. Oh, that's weird. What? That's weird. Alright, so that just totally gets rid of sprint. Spinelings. Okay, no more sprint for now. I do have to figure out how to work with this though. I need to figure out how to do this. Oh my god, I fixed it. No way. Oh my god, that looks so good. That looks so clean. Looks so, hold up, I have, what? I have to share this. I fixed it. Now I just need to do one more thing. This looks clean. I'm gonna add a quick key. Wait, no, key pressed. Keypad. No, it's a digit letter. Alright, no, it is a keypad. What is keypad? Function keys, others, like, escape. Game. Okay, so if I just do that, will that just... Alright, I did it. I added key break, I guess. I don't really know. want to put in a funny Easter egg, but I don't know how. You know what? I feel like releasing this to the public so far, just to like show people that I have made progress. Should I do it? Alright. The poll has been posted. Alright, so far it's yes. I'm going to wait until we have 3 votes. Alright, room end. Yeah, this build. That was room end, not. You guys voted yes. Itch.io. I'm just gonna show you guys that I am going to release this. No, I don't need this. Cancel. Edit game. I'm going to file. No, it's build. Create executable. Package as zip. Right. All right. I have released it. You can itch.io, and if you're, it's only on PC for now. But yeah. Ooh.
Welcome back to another Basics Game Maker Studio tutorial, and this is a special one for those who want to develop for mobile devices, because let's face it, that stuff is important as well. And here a little trick question from the start: where is on your touchscreen the right mouse button? And if you're thinking, "One up indeed, this is of course so obvious and so easy, come on." Of course there is none on the touchscreen, and to that I say, "Sir, I salute you, but you're wrong." So if you want to know the answer to this, the regular, and subscribe if you like this for that, so I don't have the Game Maker version to actually make one for, I don't know, for Android or for iOS, but I can double tap. And the other part is, let's say for example you're having your, let's go in here, you're having your game, and then you're having let's say one mouse, and then the mouse is just checking, hey, from time to time you need to press this button to jump, and you need to constantly press left. Alright, but then you're thinking, wait a second, this doesn't work, because you cannot press constantly a button here and then at the same time press with the same mouse a button from time to time to jump. So how does that actually work? Well, here is the super easy answers. You clone everything, you make a clone of a clone of a clone. So let's do this. This is how it works. So basically you have multiple mice, and this is how a touchscreen actually works. You have multiple inputs on a touchscreen, and for older devices you just,
I do not feel like doing this right now. Open dot zip. Are you on mobile? Game end, play sound at. It's not a virus. Look, look. It's literally open right here. You guys saw me put in the exact file for into. This is into. Look. This is what you have to do. All right. Into. Extract all. Press. Bam. That easy. Alright, let's do open file. First of all, I need to bam, then cut it a bit short. I'm gonna try to at least. All right. Bro has everything open all at one time. Yeah, you need to be prepared. How I need to force quit this thing. I'm gonna force quit this. I have to go to task manager. Where is it? Kill it. Okay, this is just getting boring. Gotta keep force quitting it. Theo could not care at all, bro. He just seems like that guy who would dance at a funeral. Alright, I'm gonna add my first ever sound. Let's see. Sound, sound, sound. Where is sound? Okay, good. This is so far really good. I don't think the noise plays Fortnite, bro. I don't. Game quit. Aw. What is priority? True? True? True, I'm guessing? False. One, 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 one. Didn't play. I don't know why. One, two, three. All right. Okay, so. Hello, Megabyte. Alright, so it's real. 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 And real. Oh no, it did not play. That's not good. I'm gonna turn on some music. Okay, so do I have to do real? Okay, I think it does play. Except it's just dying to the point. It's like quitting too fast. I feel it'll be fine. I should probably try to make some sound effects. So let's go.
Excuse me, sir, would you like to earn income while you learn how to code?
Yeah, dog. Tell me more about that.
Dev slopes?
Today I'm starting something I've wanted to do for quite a while. I'm going to run a series on building a complete platform game. What does complete mean? Well, it means we're going from nothing at all to some lovely squares moving around, and eventually to something that looks like this. Front-ended and back-ended, a functioning menu, screen shake, flourishes, and everything you need to build your own high-quality action platformer. A lot of this is content I've made before, reworked for GameMaker Studio 2, and brought together into one complete learning package for a beginner developer. Hello everyone and welcome to part 13. I think it's about time we finally got some sound effects in the game, so that's what we're going to do in this part. Okay, they're very simple.
Okay, I just skipped all the way ahead to 13 so I can add some
Sound effects. I'm not the greatest sound engineer in the world. I mostly used a website called BFXR.
Alright, while that loads, I'm gonna use the restroom really quick. So see you while it downloads. Waterfall music. Alright, I'll add that to the sound track. Alright, I'm gonna turn this off for a second. Need to make this. Ow! player 1. You know, we could do sound effects later.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Platformer series. Today we're going to be taking a look at screen transitions. So that's how to move our player from one level that we build in one room to another level that we build in another room. How we're going to do this is we're going to create an invisible object that just exists in the background that's also persistent, which means that object still exists when we move between rooms. And what that object's going to do is it's basically going to receive commands from a script that we're going to write. So that whenever we call this script, we send a command to this object, and that object creates a black slide transition, and then when that transition completes, it sends us to a specific target that we decided when we called the command, and then plays a slide transition to bring us in to the next room. So before we get started, what I've gone ahead and done is, you might remember this level. This is the level we were working on before, but I've also made a second level. Okay, so I've made another room, exactly the same as the first, all the same stuff in it. It's got my camera object, it's got my player, it's got my gun, and all that. Hello everybody and welcome to part 6. In this part we're mostly going to be looking at cameras, okay? So we're going to make a camera that follows the player around and is smooth and is dynamic and generally quite modular and useful for the rest of our game. It's going to very much follow the theme of...
Alright, you know what? I'm going to make a test room. Just really quick. Big test. Big underscore test. Alright, and now width is like 4,000. Height is 3,124. Sure, why not? Yeah, that is tiny. let's just. Alright, so let's create a new instance layer. Instance. This is the layer where the player is going to be. You got a code error? How? How? Alright. Alright, let me see it. Okay, it's on it's unimportant. It's just this big area. And there's also just a random block right here. Alright, cool. But if we do that. Alright. He a wide guy. He's so wide. That I have to screenshot that. I just have to. Winding. Winding. Alright, that'll be good to. This room, I feel like, is a really good thing to test with. There is no level 2. There's no level 2 yet. I'm gonna learn how to fix this.
Of a cameras video I did quite recently, in terms of like how it moves around and how it behaves. So sorry if you've seen that video and most of this is a bit copy paste for you, but we might look into some other stuff as well, and we'll probably learn some things along the way that are specifically relevant to this game rather than just that more all-purpose tutorial. So you'll notice I've changed a few things in here. The room is a lot bigger. I just went into properties here, made the room bigger in width and height, and moved the walls around a bit just so that we have an area to sort of demonstrate our camera actually working, right? And a little area here where we can climb up just to see the sort of vertical movement going on as well. But that's all I've really changed in here. One thing you will need to do though, as part of this, as part of just the setup for all this, is go to viewports and cameras. By default all this stuff will just be turned off, and tick enable viewports, okay? Make sure that's ticked, and then viewport 0, because you have up to 7 of these viewports, tick visible, okay? And you'll get this
Enable viewports.
because you have up to 7 of these viewports, tick visible, okay? And you'll get this white rectangle that appears. Don't worry about the fact that it's just off in the middle of nowhere, because we're going to control that ourselves through code. Okay, all the default settings are here are fine, otherwise you just make sure it's enabled and that this is visible. We'll make an object to handle pretty much everything else. Okay, so with all that stuff set up, let's create a new object now. I'm going to call it O camera. Okay, and we're not going to assign a sprite, it's just going to be an...
Alright, so let's do... obj underscore camera.
invisible object, and something I'm going to do as my preferred way to...
I need to find the best way to learn math and science.
It's brilliant.org.
What?
kind of work with objects most of the time now, unless I'm doing something quick, in which case the workspace is fine. I like having full screen code, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to add the 2 events that we need, which is the create event and the step event. Oh, and one thing before I do this, you'll notice that they've got a little question mark on the end now, and that's because I've got this /@ question mark as my default comment. You can set a default comment so that whenever you create an event, it adds that comment in at the start. It starts off by default as some little help thing like write your code here or whatever, which isn't super useful, but I've changed it to be 3 slashes and @ and question mark, which means what this section does, just the @ description.
My voice is playing twice, so my mic got turned on again. Why does it keep doing that? Why does it keep turning on and off the sound effects? Why does it keep doing that? I don't get it. I need to find where the hotkeys are, because I can't have these on. There is no hotkeys for them. Why is it turning on? That's stupid. Well, yeah, it is based off of Pizza Tower, but like the movement is based off of Pizza Tower. I was inspired by Pizza Tower to make this game. that's basically what it means. What I mean when it was based off of Pizza Tower.
Set to set up so the whatever you type afterwards becomes the description of that event's script, okay? And it labels it here in the events thing in the workspace, which can be quite handy. So in the create event, I'm going to call this one setup camera, and in the step event, I'm going to call it update camera, because it's updating the camera in the camera position. Pretty straightforward, right? And it just tells you there, create setup camera, step update camera, which is kind of handy, okay? Now that we've created those two events though, I'm going to do away with using the workspace because I don't really need to touch any of this stuff anymore. I've got the two events I'm going to need. I don't need any other events for this particular object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize, first of all, the room editor section. Definitely don't need that. Close this down, even though it doesn't really matter. I can close the whole workspace actually. I'm going to right click in camera and select open all event scripts.
Alright. Where's camera?
Okay. And what that's done is it's opened up full screen our create event and our step event for our camera. So we've got a tab for O camera events and two tabs that are our two events that we created, which is just a really cool, easy way of working on the scripts, for keeping it full screen without having to like maximize and minimize each time and find the next thing. Okay, it's just keeping them there, and then we can just keep coming back to this tab whenever we want to work on O camera. Okay, so that's all our setup done. Let's actually get down to some code, right? So setting up the camera, so this is the create event, make sure you got that right, because I labeled these pretty similarly, so it'd be easy to mess them up, I guess. So make sure create event tab. Cam equals view camera, open square bracket 0, close.
Cam equals view camera 0.
Close square bracket. Okay. View camera 0 is going to return the camera that will be created by default by GameMaker for this viewport. Now that we've enabled the viewport, now that we've turned viewport 0 on, a camera will be created that's designed to capture this kind of rectangular view here. This is really useful because it saves us having to create a camera manually and use matrices and all that stuff. That you may have learned about if you watched my other video that explains sort of how the new camera system works. This lets us work with it a lot more like how GameMaker Studio 1.x used cameras, which is a lot more simple and straightforward and is all we really need for now. For a basic 2D camera and everything, we don't really need any of the advanced stuff that the new camera system offers at all. So we're just going to use the basic stuff. So by just turning it on the ID there, and it allows us to use things like view camera 0, which gets us the ID of the camera that this has created, and you'll see how it lets us move around the camera really easily later on as well. So let's minimize this again now. The next variable I want is follow, and I'm going to set that to equal oPlayer, okay, and this is just going to contain the ID at any point of whatever object we want the camera to be following. The reason we set that as a variable is so that we can change it later on. So we can change it so, I don't know, maybe have the camera follow enemies around or do anything dynamic. Maybe if we're doing a cutscene and we want it to focus in on like a particular entity in the world or whatever. we can just set follow from the camera to that, and then the camera will zoom to that thing. You'll notice I've put the name of the object in here. If we had multiple player objects for whatever reason, this obviously wouldn't be what we want to do. We'd want to get the exact ID of the one we want. If you type an object name into something, what it'll do is it'll return the ID of the oldest instance of that object. Because we've only got one, it doesn't matter, okay? So it'll just return that one. And that functionality could like change at any point in time. So really the only time you ever want to use the name of an object is if you only have one of that, one instance of that object, okay? As a way of returning its ID. A lot of the time you probably want to check that an instance of it existed as well before doing that, but that won't be too much of a problem for us, as you'll see later on. Okay, the next variable I want in here is going to be view w half. Okay, and what this means is I'm going to get, because of the way we'll be manipulating our camera position, it's going to be based on the view rectangle and the XY position of...
This is Jedi Ninja 69. You wouldn't think he's doing anything important with his life, but he is. He's about to...
This view here, this rectangle, is the top left. So we're going to want it centered on our player though, so that's going to mean we're going to
Excuse me, sir, would you like to earn income while you learn how to code?
Yeah, dog. Tell me more about that.
Dev slopes?
Hello everybody, welcome back to the platformer series. Today we're going to be taking a look at screen transitions. So that's how to move our player from one level that we build in one room to another level that we build in another room. How we're going to do this is we're going to create an invisible object that just exists in the background that's also persistent, which means that object still exists when we move between rooms. And what that object's going to do is it's basically going to receive commands from a script that we're going to write. So that whenever we call this script, we send a command to this object, and that object creates a black slide transition, and then when that transition completes, it sends us to a specific target that we decided when we called the command, and then plays a slide transition to bring us in to the next room. So before we get started, what I've gone ahead and done is, you might remember this level. This is the level we were working on before, but I've also made a second level. Okay, so I've made another room, exactly the same as the first, all the same stuff in it. It's got my camera object, it's got my player, it's got my gun, and all that kind of, all the enemies and that kind of stuff, the walls and dirt. So go ahead and make sure you do that. The quickest way might just be to right-click your first room and hit duplicate, and then you've got all your camera settings and everything are the same, and you just need to reposition your enemies and stuff like that. But go ahead and make sure you do that, okay? I've named mine R1 and R2. If you need to, just pause the video now, go ahead, make your second room. Done that? Okay, cool, let's move on. The whole reason we have a second room in the first place is so that we have somewhere to actually move to with our transition, right? The other thing we'll be able to use it for, we'll be able to use it to restart the game as well, so we'll be able to show you that. But we need somewhere to demonstrate that it definitely allows us to move between rooms, right? So what I've done is I've also left a little gap at the bottom here end of room 1, which is where when we walk to here, we're going to place an object here that will detect if we touched it, and if we have, it'll take control away from the Hello everybody, welcome back to the platformer series. Today we're going to be taking a look at screen transition on where the camera so make sure that this thing is ticked. So first of all, we're just going to do some setup in here. I'm going to press F12 and gives a bit more space to work with on this. I'm going to add the create event, and then I'm also going to maximize this just so that we've got a full screen view of our code. I'll make the text a little bit bigger for now. Okay, so our description at the top here, that's just going to be size, variables, and mode setup. Okay, because we need to grab some variables that determine our screen size. They're not really ever going to change for the sake of this game, so
What's it like to learn math on Brilliant.org? Brilliant gets you hands-on to help you learn by doing. Learn top.
I'm just going to get them the create event of the transition object, and then we don't need to keep getting them. And then you'll see what I mean with the mode setup in a second. So the first thing I want to do is type W equals display get GUI width. Okay. Open bracket, close bracket, semicolon. Nothing in those brackets because it doesn't take any arguments, it's just a script that you can call by itself, but you do still need to include the brackets. What that does is it gets the width of our GUI. One way to think of the GUI is kind of a separate screen layer which we can use to draw like our menus and buttons or anything static or anything that we want to draw on the screen that's not dependent on where the camera is pointing. So if you're drawing your lives in the top left of the screen and that kind of thing. Okay. Which is basically what we're doing with our transition, right? We want to draw that over the screen wherever we are. So we're going to use the GUI for this and the draw GUI event, which you'll see us use a little bit later. But we need to get the width of that GUI, which is basically the width of our screen at any point in time. Okay, we could have also used like the camera width and stuff like that. But doing the GUI is going to be more consistent because that's the layer that we're going to actually use to draw our black rectangles over. Okay, that's how we're going to make our slide transition. We're going to draw some black rectangles and vary their size. The next thing I need is the height. So type h equals display get GUI height, as you might have guessed. Again, open bracket, close. Close bracket, semicolon. And then the other thing I need is I need half of that value, okay? Because we're going to start our rectangles at the top and bottom of the screen, 2 rectangles, and then grow them vertically. Grow this one down, grow the top one down and the bottom one up until they reach the middle of the screen. So we need to know where the middle of the screen is, and we may as well get that now in the create event, so we don't have to work it out again later. That's going to be h half, h underscore half equals, and then h, which we've already got, times 0.5. Okay, and that'll divide it by 2. Or you can, you might divide by 2 if you want. I tend to just write times 0.5 for that. So the next thing we're going to do is a bit new, and I'll explain it once I've written it, but we're going to declare what's called an enum. Okay, so I'm going to write enum, which you can see turns yellow and bold, trans underscore mode, which is going to stand for transition mode. Okay, open a curly bracket and close a curly bracket, and in the middle here, write the following. I'm going to use all caps because for constant type stuff I always use all caps. Off, next, go to, these all have commas on the end. That's important, other than the last one, restart and intro. Okay, and you should see those probably when it updates in a second will turn red. Yep. So what on earth is this? Basically what an enum is good for, what I use them for, is for turning basically a set of ordered numbers into English readable words, mostly as a coding aid and a coding structure aid, okay? So all of these by default you can set them to equal things, so I could have said like off equal 5, and then from that point onwards, every time I type trans underscore mode dot off, basically what I've done is written 5 in the code, okay? So you might think, well, how is this different from just writing a variable? Well, these are very effective for situations where the number never changes, okay? You can't change an enum once it's actually been declared. They kind of work like a constant in that regard, okay? There's just numbers that are always a certain thing, and are never actually changed or manipulated by anything else. But if I don't set this to equal 5, these all get values by default. That shouldn't be a semicolon, right? That should be a comma. That should have been a comma anyway, actually, when I wrote equals 5. If I don't set anything here, they'll just be assigned a number. I think it'll work like this will be 0, this will be 1, this will be 2, this will be 3, and this will be 4. And if you're writing something like a state machine, or you're writing something with various different modes assigned to it, like, basically we're going to have a variable that's called mode, and that's going to decide what mode our transition is currently in, whether it's turned off, or whether it's going to the next room, or whether it's restarting, or whether it's currently in the introduction of a room, so like it's fading us into the room, and so on, okay? And I could just do this by saying mode equals 0, and just remembering with a comment or something, 0 equals off, 1 equals next, and so on, right? But that becomes kind of hard to read and hard to remember after a while, right? I might have to keep looking it up. Okay, what does mode 2 mean again? And so on. Whereas, if I now write mode trans underscore mode dot intro, yeah, it's a bit more typing, but I don't actually have to remember what value this equals. I just know that it is a value, okay? And then we know it's a value that's different to these other ones, okay? We know it's a unique value. I think it'll be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 in actual fact, but the number 4 isn't relevant to us in any way, right? We don't do any maths with it or anything like that. We just need it to be unique to these other ones, so that we set it to something that, so that when we change mode, we know what mode we're in. We can check to see if mode equals transmode.intro. It's basically just a way of turning numbers into English readable words, just like variables can be, but this ensures that they're all unique from one another, and it's good and an efficient way of doing it when you've got numbers that never actually change, okay? Okay, good. I hope that made sense. Enums can be tricky to explain, but as I say, they're just a useful thing for helping you code-wise, okay? They don't do things as such, they just make your code easier to structure in some ways, and easier to remember exactly what it's doing where, okay? Because when we say mode equals transmode intro, we know, okay.
Okay. Mode equals trans underscore mode dot intro. Chat. First Lucas, then Carlo, now JackBoi101 and Smudged. And Duke. Whoop!
Okay, the mode, we're in intro mode, okay? We can read that more easily than reading mode equals 0 and be like, well, what does 0 mean? Which one of these does that mean? You know what I mean? Okay. The next variables we need to declare are percent. Percent is going to be between 0 and 1, depending on how complete the black bars should be of the transition at any time. So when it's 1, we assume that the whole screen is covered in black. And when it's 0, we assume that the bars have faded all the way to the bottom of the screen, okay? And basically how our step event is going to work is it's going to fade our percent between 0 and 1 with a kind of lerping, a bit of like animation easing as well, so we're not just going to add numbers to it, but we're going to kind of ease it so it goes really fast and then slows down to a halt.
Alright, I'm gonna check some things. My emails. Nope, no one sent me emails. Sad face. Colon, open bracket.
It goes fast and slows down to a halt, whichever way it's going. But that's how it's going to work. It's going to be between 1 and 0. And then the other variable is target. Okay, I'm going to say it to room for now, though that's kind of meaningless. What target is going to be is if we are, say, in the go-to mode, which means we are transitioning from this room to another room, we need to know what room we're transitioning to, okay? And that room is going to be held by this variable. And when we call a script that we're going to make a bit later, let's move this down so we can see all of this script at once.
Top 3 reasons why now is the best time to play Honkai Star Rail. Number 1, if you are seeing this video,
when we call a script later that we're going to write to make us move from one next room to the other, what we'll be doing is we'll be setting the mode that we want to be in, and we'll be setting the target room if we need.
Target equals room
We won't set it if we don't need one, because restart will just restart the game. Go to will just next rather will just send us to the next room, and so on and so forth. Okay, but if we want to specify a specific room, then we need to know exactly which one we're going to. Okay, so that's all of our setup done. Let's right click now, and I'm going to add open event step. Okay, so I'm going to add the step event to this one.
Add a step event.
The description for this, I'm going to make progress the transition. Okay, because that's what we're going to do. So, assuming that we are not in mode off, which means we're not doing anything at all, it means we're either in next, go to, restart our intro, progress.
You sent mail to me. Oh my god, it's a... Oh. It's a sneak peek. It's a sneak peek of TTWOS6. No way. Alright, we have Carlo, we have Bills, I think. We have Knife, we have Lie, we have The Noise, we have Raxley Footnote Stick Figure, we have Shadow Ball, we have Blocky, we have Charlie and Pim from Smiling Friends, we have whoever that guy is, we have Squidward, we have Announcer, we have Sonic Ball, we have Mewtwo, we have Tails Ball, we have Guru from Despicable Me, we have Tree from Tree, we have Thanos, we have Luigi, Super Mario Bros. 64, we have Yellow Peter Griffin and Just Peter Griffin, we have Toad, and we have me, wow, and we have just a stick figure, and then we have Smudged Ink, and then we have the nerd emoji. Guys, Carlo is live. Carlo is live. Okay. Carlo is live. Okay, I think we should stop. Alright, let's continue.
Progress the percent value appropriately, okay? And then if percent is 1 or is 0, then we know we probably need to do something, okay? We need to...
Checking chat. That's Duke. Wait, what? Oh, that guy is Duke. Okay, I thought that was the nerd emoji since it wasn't finished. Okay, that makes more sense. I see it. Anyways.
To either move to a new room or maybe turn our mode back to off. The very first thing we're going to do is check to see if our mode is not off. So if mode does not equal trans underscore mode dot off. Okay, open a curly bracket. And the next thing we want to do is if open bracket mode does equal trans mode dot intro. Okay, so if we are in
mode equal trans
intro mode, else, okay, close bracket. So in here, the intro mode means that we want to fade our bars back out, okay? That means we...
I'm just gonna put else.
We've arrived in the room that we want to be in. Remember, this object is persistent, so that will carry across. We've arrived in the room that we want to be in. So what we're going to do is fade percent from 1 all the way to 0. Otherwise, fade our percent from 0 all the way to 1. Okay, how we're going to do that is a little complex. But you don't need to worry too much if you don't understand this. You can just, if you want to do something simple, you could just do something like percent equals max 0% plus equal percent plus 0.0. For example, is pretty simple, because obviously what that would do is return either the biggest number between either 0 or minus, sorry, 0.5. So this would either move us slowly towards 0, or if we're below 0 or equal to 0, set us to 0, right? So it returns whichever is biggest. That's the easiest way, and that would create a very smooth transition, but like what that would do is it would always move at a constant speed. We're going to do something more complex than that and make it move fast initially and then slow down as it kind of reaches the bottom. And the same way as when when we're leaving a room, make it go fast, quickly close the bars in, but then like make the last few pixels take a little bit longer and slow down, okay? So if you want an easy one, feel free to write that and write the opposite of that in here as well, which would be percent equal min 1% plus 0.05, okay? If you want a much simpler one, feel free to write that, but we're now, instead of that, what we're going to do is write some more complex maths. Not really much more, just like another max line in here, and just quite a few brackets involved to keep track of, really, that do things a little bit fancier, which I do recommend you doing. Don't worry too much if you don't understand how it works, but if you really want to, here's the easier way of doing it, so feel free to copy that now. Okay, good? Okay, let's do the next one. So let's get rid of those two lines. Let's write it how in the way that actually has some easing behind it, okay? So percent equals max again, so 0 again, so still just returning the biggest value between 0 and a reduced version of percent, right, okay? To make sure we approach 0, but don't actually go over 0, under 0, rather. Percent, so itself, minus, just as before. Max again this time. And then open 2 pairs of brackets, percent divided by 10, or 0.005. Okay, and then
I can do that.
close all the brackets that you've opened. Okay, so you close that pair and that pair, right? So what this is returning is it's either going to reduce our percent by 1/10 of percent. So if percent is 1, it will reduce it by 0.1. That's quite a big chunk. That's 10% of it. If it's 0.9, which it would be at that point, it will reduce it by 0.09, which is 10% over 0.9. So it reduces the amount it's reducing it by constantly. So it starts off fairly fast, like 1/10 of it in a frame, and then like less and less and less and less and less. Okay. But we don't want that to continue forever, because if it does, then we'll never actually reach 0, or we'll only reach 0 after a really long time, because eventually it'll like have a rounding error, and it'll be so small that it'll basically equal 0, right? But we want to be able to check later if it equals 0, so we want to make sure that we do actually reach this value. So we put a limit on how low it can go by saying that the smallest we can possibly move our percent value is 0.105, right? Okay, or like is that 0.5 of 1%? Yeah, 0.5 of 1%. At that time. Then we're going to do a very similar thing in the else statement. Okay, we're going to do percent equals min 1, so the highest we can ever get is 1 because it returns the smallest value. Percent plus max, open bracket, open bracket, so we've got 3, 1 minus percent, close bracket, okay, so this is one block, divided by 10, close bracket, okay, so that's another block, comma, 0.005, again, close bracket, semicolon. So this is exactly the same, okay? The reason we do 1 minus percent here is because we want 10% of the distance that we've got left to go, which we got automatically from this, because if percent is
Okay, for now, I'm going to put object rooms, which is right here. And right here. See how this goes. 11.
is 1, then we've got 1 to go, right? And if percent is 0.9, we've got 0.9 to go, right? And that's what we want the fraction of. But when we're going in the other direction, we're going from 0 to 1, 1 minus percent gives us the amount. Because if we're at 0.1, we've got 0.9 to go to get to 1, right? And the way we find that out is by subtracting percent from 1. And then divide that by 10. So that's what the extra bracketed section is for, to make sure we do that. before we divide by 10. So that's all we actually need to do to make sure that percent moves in the direction that we want it to, okay? If percent now, at this point down here, if percent equals 0, then we know that...
Hold on, be right back. Alright, I'm back. I have to do some things really quick. Okay.
We need to move from trans mode intro back to trans mode off, because we've finished our intro transition, okay, into the new room. But if percent equals 1, then it means we've fully covered the screen with black bars, and we need to actually move to the next room and set ourselves into intro mode to start getting rid of them again, okay? So how are we going to do that? I'm going to actually use something new here that we haven't used before, but first of all I need an if statement. I need to say if percent equals 1, or, that's 2 vertical lines, or the or statement. If you really want, I just prefer the 2 vertical lines, or percent equals 0, so if it's either exactly 1 or exactly 0. Switch mode. Okay, so what's a switch statement? Well, a switch statement is very similar to like a lot of if statements, because what I could do here is be like, oh, if mode equal trans mode dot intro, and then if mode equal trans mode dot next, and so on and so forth. And do their conditions afterwards, but that brings in a lot of problems between like, oh, what order do you do them in, how do you make sure what you've done one, don't do a different one, and so on. Whereas a switch sort of handles forking logic like this all at once and just make sure you only do the one thing that you want to do, okay? So how a switch works is, if I open a couple of curly brackets for the switch, it returns whatever the result is of whatever expression you put in the brackets. Okay, so I've just put a mode in, so it's going to work out what mode equals, and then what we can do is we write a number of different cases. Okay, so I could write case trans mode dot intro, and then a colon on the end here. That's a colon, not a semicolon. Open another curly bracket, and close a curly bracket, and then on the bottom line of that, write break semicolon. okay? Break is the thing that makes sure that the case ends properly, and we don't accidentally do some of the other cases and stuff as well. It just makes sure that we do the one thing.
More mail? I didn't get more mail. I didn't get mail.
So under that, once I've written that case, so that case would go off if mode happened to equal transmode.intro. But if I just can copy and paste this, and have case for transmode, next, for example, with a colon. Okay, then we have a case for if mode happens to equal that, then do this instead. So it's kind of a multiple forked if statement as a fun way of thinking about it. Make sure you always include this break statement, otherwise you can run into weird problems with several cases going off at once and so on and so forth. Alright, I am going to include a case for each one of the different transmodes, so I'll put those in now, just so we can see how it looks. I'm going to make this a bit smaller so you can see it all at once. A bit bigger than that. Let's just scroll this down a little. Okay, so that's a bit better, so you can kind of see a bit clearer, because otherwise it can get a bit messy to look at. So let's just, we need about 5 of these, don't we? So let's get all those in a row. Okay, so a case with the result, a colon, two open curly bracket, one pair of open curly brackets and a break statement on the bottom line. Okay, and that's transmode intro, transmode next, transmode go to. It'll turn red to make sure you got the right word. Transmode restart. Oh, and then we don't actually need one for off, because we know already in this whole section, our very first thing was that we're not in mode off, so we don't actually need a 5th one. Okay, so we just need a 4th one. And then this is our switch statement, so this will do something based on whatever mode that we're currently in. Okay, if we are in the intro mode, then all we need to do is stop doing this stuff, right? Which means set ourselves back to mode off. So I can just say mode equal trans. Underscore mode dot off. Okay, that leaves our percent at 0, just ready to start increasing it the next time we move room, but stops actually increasing or decreasing it anymore. Okay, because we just don't need to. If we're in trans mode next, it means we want to go to the next room. Okay, so the next room is always going to be the next room in our room order. In however they're ordered in the list in the IDE. Okay, so from room 1 it'll go to room 2. If you try and do if you try and go to the next room from the second room and there's no room under it, you'll get a crash, okay? So you always have to make sure there is a room to go to next if you use this, okay? So we'll set mode to equal trans, let's go mode.intro. Okay, set us back to the mode where our black bars are unfolding again. And then room underscore go to underscore next, okay? And that's the command I mean that will send us to the next room in order, okay? Go to will allow us to go to any room we want, so if we're in room 2 we can go back to room 1, or if we're in some theoretical, if there exists like a bunch of rooms, we can go to a specific one that we've chosen, okay? And that's what our target variable will be used for. So again, we'll set mode to equal trans mode.intro, as that's what we'll need in the room that we go to next. Room go to, open bracket, target, okay? Room go to is a command that allows us to move to a specific room, whereas next, as I said, just go takes you immediately to the next one. And then transmode restart.
Okay.
Will allow us to restart the whole game. Okay, so game underscore restart. Simple as that, because that'll end up destroying this object and we'll have to actually make and we'll set all our mode and stuff back to the defaults that are in our create event. Okay, so we don't need to worry about changing our mode or anything. For that one, we just do game restart there. And then that's everything in here. The last thing we need to do is just close our initial if statement with another curly bracket like that, okay? That should get rid of the last little red error thing. We've got a complete set of code in our step event. Okay, the last thing we need to do, there is quite a lot of setup you'll have noticed in this particular episode before we can actually run the game and see any of this happening. I apologise for that, that's just sort of the nature of how we've done this one, but we will get there pretty soon. The next thing we're going to do is make it so we actually draw these black bars, because at the moment all we're doing is varying a number between 0 and 1. This would work still, like it would still send us to the rooms that we want to go to. Well, actually it wouldn't, because we've not written the script to actually set these modes and our target and everything yet. But still, all of this is functional in terms of moving us between rooms, but it's not functional in terms of actually drawing the blank bars on the screen for the transition. So that's what we're going to do now. So let's right click, add open event, draw GUI. Okay, and our description for this.
Alright. Draw GUI.
This one is going to be draw black bars. Alright, it's going to be pretty simple. So if mode does not equal trans underscore mode dot off, because if it does, then we don't. want to draw anything because we're not doing any kind of transition. So there's no point wasting rendering time actually going through this stuff. Even if we were to drawing like rectangles, zero height and 0 width, you know, like even though it's not drawing actually ends up resulting in drawing anything, it's a waste of processor time to actually call the command. So there's no point doing that if we don't need to. But if we do need to, draw set color. See black. I should explain, by the way, I mentioned it earlier, but we're using Draw GUI for this, which, as I said, draws things to the screen without having to worry about where the camera is, okay? It just draws on the screen of your window itself, okay? It doesn't worry about where in the room you are, so when you're drawing in Draw GUI and you set a coordinate, like x0, y0, that will always be the top left of the screen, not the top left of the...
This is a lot. How long has this been going on for? 2 hours. Okay, so.
The room, okay? It's very, very useful. So draw set color black, draw rectangle 0, 0, as I say, the top left of the screen, and then W, which we know is the width of our GUI, or width of our screen, which we set in the create event. Okay, let me zoom this in a bit, see a bit clearer because we don't have that much to write in this particular event. Comma percent. Okay, just so you can see what I'm actually doing here, because I've not really explained. We need the x coordinate and the y coordinate of the top left of the rectangle, which we've given it, top left of the screen, and then we want the x and y coordinate. By giving it another x and y coordinate, we can draw a rectangle, okay, between them.
Sorry about that, I was watching Carlos stream.
So the next x and y coordinate would be, the x would be the full width of the screen, so we go from the top left to the top right. And then in terms of our y coordinate, we go from the top, so 0, and then to wherever our percentage decides we should be. A percentage between 0 and half our screen height for the first rectangle, okay? So we get that by saying percent times h half, okay? Because h half equals half of our screen height, and percent is between 0 and 1. So 0 times this would be 0, which means drawing it right at the top. 1 times it would be like the full thing, so half of the half the width of the half the height of the screen, sorry. And 0.5 would be like a quarter the height of the screen, okay? And then the last thing you write in here is whether or not this is just an outline or whether it's a filled rectangle. We want a filled rectangle, so I'm going to write false, semicolon, okay? Copy that. Actually, no, I'm not going to copy paste it, I'll write the whole thing again, because we want a second rectangle now that's at the bottom of the screen and drawing its way up from the bottom. Okay, so we're going to type 0 for the x again, the left, but we want the bottom left this time, so it's 0h. Remember, h from our create event is the height of our screen, okay? So 0h, so right at the bottom of the window. The next x and y coordinate we want to be is going to be basically the far right, so width again, straightforward, and then the height is going to be between the very bottom of the screen, so h, and the middle of the screen, h half, okay? So it's going to be h minus percent times h half. Okay, so from the bottom of the screen minus the same value that we've got up here, which will bring us from the bottom at 0% to the middle of the screen at 1%, okay? And then again, comma, false, bracket, semicolon. Okay, and that's it. That's everything we actually need in here. One thing I'll write in here just as a temporary thing so we can see it working when I do it is draw set color C white, which sets our drawing color to white. Draw text 50 and comma string percent. Okay, so we're just going to draw that percentage to the top left of the screen just so we can see it moving between 0 and 1 all the time. Again, 50-50 is kind of just moving as, so like the top left plus 50 pixels right and plus 50 pixels down. Okay, so just sort of the top left. Left-ish area of the screen, we're just going to draw this text on screen, which will just show us how far along it is, just so we can see it working. We'll get rid of this command later. So it's all set up now. It's all finally set up. This object is ready. And we've actually done this in kind of a really long way. There are like faster ways I could have set this up, but what I've done here is set it up to be really quite flexible, so that we're going to write a script now that we can just call whenever we want to initialize one of these transitions and set it going, okay? Which is really useful, and then this object can just carry with us the whole game, and we don't have to make loads of different objects like transition in, transition out, transition restart, and all that kind of thing. We just have one, and we can just call commands that do all these different things for it. So hopefully it'll be worth it, even though it's been kind of a long setup getting everything we need together. Okay, so let's just make this up a bit smaller. I'm going to right click in script and hit create script, okay? It's kind of come up in this code tab, that's fine. I'm going to call this script slide transition. Now, I don't think we've ever used a script before. A script is a chunk of code very much like our events. So, okay, so like a step event, or like a create event, okay, we write a bunch of code in here. But when does that code happen? Well, that code happens whenever we call the script from inside another event. So now that I've created slide transition as a script, you'll notice if I go into, say, our step event, just randomly, at the bottom of here, if I type in slide transition, it turns yellow. Essentially what we've done is we've built our own command into GameMaker is one way of thinking about it, okay? That we can provide arguments to in brackets, we can get results out of it, like hello equals slide transition, stuff like that. You can do all sorts of great things. with scripts. What we're going to do is set up a script that basically modifies OTransition's mode and target based on whatever instructions we give the script when we call it. Okay. So I'm going to do a few special comments at the top here. /at_desk, which is our common like description one. I think I've been using @description until now, but you can also do @desk, which you'll notice I've done in some of the other ones, which is just a shorter way of writing it. Slide transition. I wrote slide description. Open bracket mode target room. Okay, I've just written that as the title for this just to show us exactly how this command is going to work. Okay, when we call it in our other events, we're going to write slide transition, and then and then call the mode that we want to change to, and the target room if we want to set one. We won't actually have to set one using this. You'll be able to just write the command like that, but if you write the command like that, it will also set a target room. Okay. Underneath this, I'm going to write another // and then @arg. Okay. And basically, what I'm going to use this for is to define to autocomplete to GameMaker's autocomplete, so you know when you type things like place meeting. Open bracket. You'll see at the bottom here it tells you the different things you want to put in, like X, Y, and OBJ down here. By writing our own arguments at the top here, we basically decide what that shows at the bottom when we call this command, okay? So it really is like defining your own custom command. So arg mode, arg stands for argument, by the way, is the thing that you pass through with the script. So you type one word, and then you can type a little description on the end to remind you what it does, and this one's going to be sets transition mode between next, restart, and go to. Okay. And then the next one is going to be @arg target, or target room I guess, but whatever, sets target room when using the go to mode, okay, because that's the only one we actually need to pass a target room in with. So that means now, I think I can even call it from inside the script. I don't recommend actually doing that, but just to demonstrate, you need to now see at the bottom, slide transition come up with mode and target, okay? So now the IDE knows that we want those two arguments. You don't have to write that in, but it's very useful for yourself later when you're writing it, so you can remind yourself, like, okay, this is what my script needs to function. Okie doke. So what is the script actually going to do? It doesn't do anything at the moment. So what it's going to do is work with our transition object to change its mode and target. So with OTransition. Okay, I think we've used the with statement before. So we We know that that just means that the object that we put in here is what's going to be affected by the following code, okay? Open curly bracket, mode equals argument, open square bracket, 0, close square bracket, semicolon, okay? You can also write argument 0. And what both of these are currently referring to is the first argument that we pass through, okay? Has nothing to do with how we've defined it up here. That, again, as I say, is just for the sake of autocomplete. But with the script itself, like if I type it again down here, slide transition, and I pass through a bunch of things, like I write hello, goodbye, mode, target, whatever, right? If I did that, then I've passed through 4 arguments, okay? I've passed through hello, goodbye, mode, and target. Argument 0 would refer to the first one, so it would refer to hello in this case. Argument 1 would be goodbye, argument 2, mode, argument 3, target, okay? So this is how we get the arguments out of whatever we've passed through, okay? We type this green argument 0, or argument whatever number, okay? By typing it in the square brackets, what that does is it allows us to have a optional number of arguments, okay? If you type argument 0 and argument 1 and stuff into things, then you'll find when you do slide transition, your code will expect 2 arguments, okay? So you actually absolutely have to provide 2 arguments, so I would have to provide mode and target, and if I try to run the game with, say, mode just by itself, oops, and I included argument 1 in the script somewhere, it wouldn't let you do it, and it'd be like this command, this script expects 2 arguments, and you only gave it 1, okay? But by using the square brackets version, we can provide optional arguments. We just have to check to make sure certain arguments actually exist. We always want the first one in, so I'm not going to do any check to make sure that we have at least 1 argument in. But we might not always want to provide the second argument. We don't need to provide a target room if we're not using the go-to mode, okay? If we're restarting the game, we're restarting the game. If we're just next, then we just go to the next one in the room order, and so on, okay? We don't need to define a target room unless we're using the go-to mode. So what I can do is say if argument underscore count is greater than 1, argument count returns the number of arguments that we pass.
So if argument underscore count greater than 1
pass through. So again, in that situation where I wrote hello, goodbye, mode, and target, that would be 4. Okay, 4 arguments pass through, even though labeling wise it starts at the numbers.
You know what? I'm gonna see this really well.
using the go-to mode. So what I can do is say if argument underscore count is greater than 1 event,
okay. Well, that fixed it, but I should probably get it back to
0, the count returns the total number. So if argument count is greater than 1, then we know we've passed through 2 arguments, right? Or we know we at least have a second argument. So we can say that target, again in O transition that we're modifying here, equals argument, open square bracket, 1, close square bracket, semicolon, and then close curly bracket.
Let's see this. What? Oh. Right, okay.
Okay, so now that we've done that, we can finally see this in action. Okay, we're going to see it in action very simply. Thanks to all the setup we've done, this is now actually really easy for us to use, okay? That's the main benefit of having done kind of all this work. We've done 4 different chunks of code, but they've ended up leaving us with something that's very, very easy to use now. So if I go to our player object, and when we have our key press R, which currently just restarts the game, what I'm going to do with this event instead, where I key press R. I don't know if I've ever actually included that in the tutorial where I did key press R or not. I included it so I make it easy to demonstrate things, but if for some reason I never covered that, then just go to add event, key press letters R to add this event, okay? And we're going to have this restart the game using our slide transition. So all we do is call the command slide transition. You can see it even came up there. Open bracket, and it tells us at the bottom, mode and target. Well, the mode that we want
Okay.
is trans underscore mode dot restart. Okay.
Let me see this. Let me see this. Let me see this. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's cool. That is cool. Big test. Need the background layer. Make that a very visible color. Like. No, not that light. No, not that light. Like around there. Yes, that's good. Now if we go right here. Wait a minute. press R, clearly if we press R, nope, if we press R, it like shuts. It almost looks like your eye is shutting, and that's the way it restarts, which is really cool. Like, it is really, really cool. It's opening and shutting to restart. This game is actually starting to look a lot more polished. Like, maybe not the sprites, but like the gameplay and the way it feels seems a lot more like expressive. If you look up here, this number, that's telling you what's going on with the transition. That's like telling you how many pixels there are, I think. But it still looks absolutely fire. Alright. Alright, now let's continue.
And then we don't need a target room, so I'm just going to close it there and semicolon. Now you may have noticed I've used this transmode restart enum outside of O transition. Okay, that's the other useful thing about using enums, okay, rather than like using a variable to name things. They're global in scope. I don't think I actually mentioned that at the time, which means I can call them from anywhere in my game once they've been defined once, okay?
So that's what enum means. Okay, that's cool.
I don't even think it matters in terms of code order. Like, I don't think it matters if like some code, like if I ran this in a different room or whatever, and this code, I think it actually gets put in when it's compiled. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I think it might work like that. But I always tend to just make sure they're in create events, okay? But as I say, they're global in scope, so I can refer to them from anywhere as always equaling these values, okay? So just by doing slide transition, transmode restart, that should make our transition work now. So if I run the game, and I appear here, and I run around, and I can run over here just somewhere different, shoot some of these dudes, press R, and nothing happened. Which is embarrassingly because of a mistake I always make, which is I forgot to put O transition in the room in the first place. This is my most common mistake when using GameMaker by far, is I write a ton of code for something, I run the game, and it doesn't work, and I don't know why, and the reason is the code doesn't exist because I've never put it in the game room. So come to your first room, first of all. Go to, let's put it on the player layer, okay, and drag in O transition. Appear here.
In the Air Force, we operate as a team of teams. We believe greatness can come from anywhere.
And run around, and I can run over here just somewhere different, shoot some of these dudes, press R, and nothing happened. Which is I forgot to put mistake when using game. I don't know why, and the reason is the code doesn't exist because I've never put it in the game room. So come to your first room, first of all. Go to, let's put it on the player layer, okay, and put them all in one room you're loading first, okay. If you have an initialized room, that's even better. Let's run the game now. I'll try this again, run somewhere else, just so that we're somewhere different, and press R. And so you've noticed at the awkward ending of that clip, it still didn't work. And why didn't it work? Because I've been even stupider still. Not only did I forget to put it in the room, but I also forgot that you actually have to have visible ticked here. I told you earlier, it doesn't matter, you could tick visible off if you wanted. It totally does matter, so I'm redacting that now, ignore that bit. Sorry for anyone who only watched half of this and for some reason thought that they could have visible and ticked. Well, hey, serve you right for not watching the full video, right? Yeah, totally intentional. But if you don't have visible ticked, basically all your draw events get skipped. I totally forgot that that was a thing. So make sure you have visible ticked, otherwise our black bars won't work. Okay, so now, for the third time is a charm, run the game with visible ticked. You see the black bars came in there at the start. That should have thrown me in initially, right? And we didn't even have the white number in the corner, right? You see that white number in the corner, that's representing our percent of the transition, which is for debug. We put it in just so we could see it. When I press R now, you can see it climbs towards 1, and then when it gets to 1, the game...
game looks super smooth. If you look right here, you can see there's a sprite. It's smoothly touching the floor, except this sprite's a bit more wonky, so I'm gonna edit that up, create a new sprite for it. The jumping obviously works. Okay. Okay. All right. So far, I think we are doing very well. Alright, so first of all, I am going to change big test slightly. I'm just going to move the camera. Let's see this. could see the... Okay, very clearly the VSP is very quickly becoming lower and faster and faster, and the camera isn't fast enough to pick it up. That's cool. All of this free, all this free space. Oh, TTWOS is out. Alright, wait. Listen, we gotta watch it. We gotta watch it. Alright, let's watch this.
Hey guys, it's me, Lucas. Elimination.
Hello guys, welcome back to the 2 Week in the Object Show. And this time we got 6 votes. It went up 4 times. That is amazing. But 4 more left until we reach the record again for some reason. So we also got another large crowd watching us today.
That's a lot of people. Okay, let's see. We got Carlo, Buffalo Bills, I think. Knife. We have Lie. The Noise. Raxty Flipnote guy. Shadow Ball, Charlie, Blocky, Pim, whoever that guy is, Squidward, Announcer, Sonic Ball, Mewtwo, Tails Ball, Gru, Black Square, Tree, Thanos, Luigi, Golden Peter Griffin, Toad, me, yay, Smudged Ink, again, Stick Figure, Pico, FNF, and Coda. Coda was taken YT. We have Black Suit Spider-Man. We have we have Duke, we have Miku, we have Nerd Emoji, we have Jinho you, Superman, we have Pizza Guy, we have, I forget her name, we have Pepino.
Oh my gosh, guys! Is that Smudged Ink from Smudged Ink? Well, the friends are safe, and Balloon has been eliminated. Oh no, go get me! Not a gun.
Everybody's just... Pim's the same because Pim will always be Pim.
Nobody could stop me. Think fast!
Miley is back on the way. Vote these guys to win the 2-weekly object show.
Yeah, buddy, you forgot,
Object show.
Why is Nonagon here? Why'd they non him? Why's he gonna non? Vote in the comments, bet. I vote Nonagon. Gon is cool. I vote him. Okay. I think I'm gonna end the stream because my neighbors are having a party and I'm gonna go and that's fun. Yay, yay, yippee, yay, bye.